Don't look over here at our personal calendar. We're looking over here at the pros and cons because today we're discussing the pros and cons of living in the dorms. So the pros are it's less responsibility, which equals more time to focus on what's important and potentially meeting your new best friends for life. The cons are that it's potentially dirty. The unknown roommate's behavior. It's expensive. And all of this equals the unknown chaos. So we're gonna keep in mind that the priority is to build confidence the first year of college and be successful and not get pregnant. Saying the pros and cons of living off campus. Now, pro, you will feel very grown up making many choices. Pro, you get to set up your own house and decorate it any way you see fit. Pro, you have the freedom to come and go and manage your own schedule. Cons, that freedom, it will quickly be eaten up by having to cook and clean up after yourself. You will need to create your own democracy with your new chosen roommates. And if you have terrible roommates, you may meet a dark night of the soul. They could potentially ruin your financial life and that of your parents, eroding any kind of support that you once had. So I am going to include some apartment hunting in this video because we're considering the dorms in New York City on campus or live off campus in New York City. Most of you know that a pros and cons list will only get you so far in life. Making big decisions are just filled with so many nuances. With real estate, it comes down to the readiness of the person moving in or making agreements. And so where it comes to living off campus or going with the dorm, considering the big picture of what is at stake here. You want to really do well on your first year, especially, and slowly increase the momentum towards independence, right? So one thing to consider when living off campus is that although the freedom of being able to come and go with your own car sounds so amazing, there's gas. Your car could break down. What if, God forbid, you get into an accident? All of these things are factors. You know, with each big responsibilities, there's the things that could go wrong, and they're very time consuming and costly. So, you know, it sounds like great to move in with your friends, but there might be things about your friends that you don't want to know. Or, you know, unfortunately, your roommate could bail on the lease and that would be really affecting you financially, could really alter your whole semester and possibly credit. So, I mean, if you have an emotional support animal, then you might consider living off campus, or maybe they'll give you your own room. So being able to set up your own apartment, I mean, everyone loves a good interior design moment, right? But who's buying the furniture and all of the time that it takes to get the furniture and all of these things, it really does take time away from the purpose of why you're in college in the first place. I think now schools have gotten a lot more savvy with matching roommates with other roommates who have the same habits, this could be on your side. One thing to keep in mind is that depending on the college that you're going to, it might be in an urban location, or is it in a rural location? Is it like in a city where you will still have a city experience, or maybe like 5 minutes, or maybe there's a shuttle or a bus, you know, something that you can do a day trip, you know, so you can still have some of that urban vibe? Or is it going to be like you're trapped on campus? So those are things to think about. Most schools do have a requirement to live in the dorms for the first year. In our case, we have some family in New York City and we have an address, and therefore we were able to get an exemption and even consider this choice of living off campus. So that brings me to the apartments. Apartment is in Little Italy on Mulberry Street, which is a kind of buzzing neighborhood and very cute. Brick, 2-bedroom, but does not have a living room. A very small kitchen. And even though I like that it is a bustling neighborhood, and therefore probably more safe, it also could be very loud, and since there's so many restaurants, it could potentially have more rats. Because it doesn't have a living room, I was concerned that 4 people in this apartment would simply impede on their quality of life and potentially contribute to more difficulties down the road, and this was a concern for me. And even though it really was about 15 minutes on the subway, it wasn't that convenient for her to go back and forth to where the school is located. But this was such a cute little apartment, and for the right person, I think it would really be perfect. The 18th Street apartment was very conveniently located for both school and where she plans on working. So this was an important factor. It also had a really good-sized living room where I felt they could have some community space, and even though the bedrooms were a little bit small, they were equally sized, and that they had this living room made it livable. And even though it wasn't quite as adorable and charming as the one on Mulberry Street, it was a very practical and convenient location. Here's a quick cost comparison for living off campus versus the dorms. The cost of the dorms would be $19,000 for a double room, but based on our financial need, she was granted another $6,000 towards housing. Off-campus housing would be $11,700 for a double room, so 4 roommates in 1 apartment, and that cost is as long as you have reliable roommates. Otherwise, you will need to be able to cover the cost of the missing roommate or replace that roommate. The main difference that's not apples to apples with the dorms versus living off campus is the 9 months for the dorms versus the 12 months for living off campus, which is a lease. So she would either need to come home for the summer or travel if she goes with the dorms. So for the $1,300 difference per year, the peace of mind and lower risk that it provides made us feel so much more comfortable. And in our particular situation, because the campus is located in New York City, she really doesn't miss out on having these experiences that off-campus housing would offer her. And therefore, we really felt like it was a win-win. Something else to consider with the dorms are, where will you go for the holidays and summer? You know, if your school is very far away and you're not going to be going home for the holidays or summer vacation, then you might want to live off campus. So these are all things that are very personal, and it really depends on the individual. So I'm just putting these things out so that you can consider them for yourself and see what feels like the right decision, both financially and also like when you're thinking about the finances. This is a very short window of time and you want to really make it count. So the priority is being successful in your college endeavors, right? And how will either living off campus or a dorm support that priority? In eventuality, whether you live on the dorm or off campus, is that you will become independent. So I wouldn't fret too much about it and just enjoy this time and make the most of college. There's a lot of experiences to be had, and go have fun, but not too much fun. This is the small section of real estate I want you to look at right here. So, okay, let's try this again. Here are 2 2-bedroom apartments. Here are 2 2-bedroom apartments in New York City that we are considering. That's the dilemma that we are challenged with, or the dilemma that we are, I don't know what the fuck. What we have been considering is okay, we all know that. Another thing to consider is the sound. Let me check that.